Bonjour mes amis, hi guys, we are going macro in this video, starting with the famous caliber 321 recreated by Omega for their famous Ed White, as it is nicknamed Speedmaster. So because Lemania, which is part of the Swatch group now, doesn't make this actual caliber at the moment, they had to use a very complex X-ray type of modern machine to go through layer by layer one of the original calibers and recreate this for the pleasure of the enthusiast. So let's see a bit how the finishing is for this caliber, which is the only one that is assembled, adjusted by hand at Omega by a small workshop of experienced watchmakers. You can see this element here is very much the signature of the different companies that have used this caliber, including Patek, for example. Omega shapes it this way, and the finishing is clearly done by hand and very, very pleasant. You see that the screw sings and the jewel sings are also beveled and polished. The screws are polished. And this original caliber has a column wheel, so the adjustment of it took a lot more man hours, so that's why it was later replaced by a lever cam system, making it more appropriate for larger industrial production. So this is the famous column wheel, which gives a great feel on the pushers, but the clutch here is still lateral, so you do still have a little jump of the seconds when the caliber is started. And as you know, this caliber brought back the stricken Apollo 13, and they had to use the watch, one of the only equipment left available in their module, to time a 14-second burst. I always wonder with this little jump of the seconds hand how accurate it is, and the accuracy was extremely important, otherwise they would either overshoot or crash into the atmosphere. So kind of stresses me to think about it. So let's see a bit the brushed elements of this of the clutch. Here we have the resetting hammer, and I'm not sure what is the name of this part, but it's nicely polished as well, and a lovely shape to it. So the movement is coated in a Sedna gold, except one element. Let's roll our way to it right over here. So you see this one has a different hue. It is in Maishore, German silver. The finishing is also different than what we saw here. You see we have a nice polished beveling. Here we can see the vertical striations on the finishing, so a bit different. From a distance, though, it does look polished, but yeah, as you get closer, you can see all the tool marks. Now something interesting on the slow beating balance wheel. The gears first. You can see this little piece of metal which is there for protection, making sure that in case of shock the balance spring is not gonna shoot out and get entangled. I believe that's the reason. I'm honestly not a specialist, but I believe this is it. Probably best to watch Tim Mosso's review of the watch for the appropriate details. Here we have the little adjuster for the timing. So you can see the difference of hue between the Sedna Gold and the Mayshore. And maybe it would be nice if I can manage it, because the bracelet is still on, to start the caliber. Let's try. This way I have one finger available. Bang. A little bit of vintage aging. You can see now the wheels here coupling and turning along with the center wheel. Of course, you cannot reset until you have stopped these calibers, so let's stop. Let's restart and stop again. And now we can reset. So let's see the hammers. Bang. So maybe let's move on to a beautiful dial now. And this is a Guilloche dial by the company Garrick. Handmade watches in the UK with a chapter ring that also takes many man hours to cut, and the filling actually of the engravings is done with a syringe here in black, which also is very time consuming. You can see on the outskirts of this engine turn dial made with a 19th century machine, a different pattern from the center, and the closer you get, the more you see the actual cuts from this machine. So this is what would be considered real guilloche. This is not CNC machine or pressing. This is the real deal, and the beauty is in the millions of little differences caused by these cuts. Moving back to the main event, getting as close as possible. You can see really the depth of the cut. Look at this, like little mountains. Also great to see the quality of the finishing, the polishing of those nautically themed hands, which are blued by applying heat to them. Different hues can be obtained, purple, brown, but here blue is the classic color. I get as much pleasure looking at the dial as I do the actual index, and I know that it's very time-consuming element of the watch, and this is why a watch like this costs $20,000, not just because of the dial, but also because this is the S5 model, which required its own caliber. I'll show you it to you in a second. Let's try to get really close to those. Yeah, this is the real deal, and guilloche was a bit a thing of the past, and it was brought back by some enthusiast. Breguet kind of always did it, not sure if it was CNC in recent times or the real deal, and Independence really brought this technique back, acquiring old machines. And this is the caliber that so far you will only find in the S5 of Garrick watchmakers, with a huge frosted plate. You can see the lovely beveling, brushing components, polished screws, beveling of the crucings, and yeah, original tri-spoke bridge with angular profiles. It's probably not the highest level of hand finishing you can find, but I like the very artisanal nature of the work of Garrick. A very unique, very bespoke type of timepiece. Less unique but equally delightful Patek Philippe caliber 240 with a very efficient micro rotor. You can see the ball bearings, unidirectional. As soon as you pick up the watch, it starts beating. Let me shake it a little bit, and there you go. The movement running at 3 Hertz should power up. Yeah, at least let's give the rotor a chance to turn a little bit. But before it does, we can at least see the balance at a slower pace. And here it is at full pace. So yeah, that macro rotor, beautiful engraving of the Patek Calatrava cross. This watch is the model 6006 from the Calatrava collection. It's discontinued. You can see the perlage, the origin, the perlage, the Côte de Genève were there to mask the cuts of the material by the machines and all the tools, and maybe these days they would be less necessary, but it's a tradition and it's beautifully made. So you can see the black polished screws, the polishing of the screw things. There's no complex interior angle, it is more of a rounded finish, but it is still really beautifully made. So Spiromax balance spring on a Gyromax balance. Doesn't look like it sometimes, but these calibers, which have been running for a long time, have evolved and are very accurate. Let's not forget it. And this is the yeah, caliber that has powered, of course, the classic perpetual calendars. This watch here was produced when Geneva seal was already abandoned, so we have the Patek seal instead, filled with I think 22 karat yellow gold. Dial side, the lusciousness of the printing, the really fine detail of the textures is always what marks the difference between the high-end and the more common type of watches. So I had to show you that as well. Look at the concentric grooves there in the trade, in the typical small seconds a trademark of this watch. You don't often get to see it. Often gets to see it in close up, and we're getting so close. We can even find a tiny imperfection in otherwise pristine hands. I believe these are made by Fiedler, although the side is not as maybe those are just reflection, maybe not as clean as the top. Still very crisp, not something you would ever notice. Paint job is fine on the date hand. When talking of dial, of course, you think Grand Seiko, and this is when you get it really, really close. What it looks like. Quite surprising, and the printing is just gorgeous over it. I like this watch in particular because there is no index ring, which I hate. So here the intermediate indexing is printed, I suppose, to the dial itself, and you see all the billions of little marks in this dial that just looks a bit smoother from a distance. And of course, the polishing of the indices is ridiculous. Using a Zaratsu machine, which is why it's bizarrely called Zaratsu, which is the pronunciation of in Japanese of a foreign word. And those crazy hands. Heat blued second hand. Bit of a shame I don't have it running. You have to pay extra for that. Let's go ultra macro, and that's maybe too much. It is so sharp. So sharp. And while some might not consider it as noble, it is equally fascinating to take a really close look at the movement of this manually wound spring drive. Caliber of Grand Seiko. Look at the sonorization here of the barrel. Brushing, the polishing of so many jewels. This thing runs so smoothly. Beautiful caliber, ultra thin, 30 jewels. Just look at it. In itself, it is such a work of art. I mean, look at the hand here of the power reserve, and pardon a bit the dirt on the glass, which I believe features a silk screen of the brand in the middle somewhere. Yeah, you can see it. I find it quite fascinating, and just the achievement in itself is so commendable, and there's not many great watchmaking achievements that are worth talking about in the past 30 years, and this is one of the the most unbelievable ones. And I think this watch really brings it in a package that elevates it to its rightful place. And I can't resist to share with you the Omega iconography on a very unusual watch that you know from my channel, the Seamaster Boutique Edition. I'll zoom out in a second. You can see all the things that have made Omega the legendary brand that it is. They might be machined, but those arabesques on all the calibers are still lovely to look at. Any glimpse at the coaxial escapement, perhaps? Dial side. This is what we have with indices in white gold. Maybe not as impressive, I think, as the Grand Seiko. Still very nice. The dial is not flat, as you can see, it's rounded, so are the indices. White gold as well here for the logo and the hands. Pure pleasure, and I hope you have enjoyed this video. If you have, give it enough likes and I'll do it again with other nice watches. Bye bye guys.